Welcome back to News and Books, where we dive deep into aviation stories that shape the headlines and explore what they really mean behind the scenes. I'm your host, Eric. Tonight, we're unpacking the dramatic runway incident involving an Azerbaijan Airlines Airbus A320 that overran the runway at St. Petersburg's Pulkovo airport just a few days ago, on October 20th. The flight, designated J2020, was bound for Baku but ended up circling for nearly 3 hours before making a tense emergency landing that ended on the grass beside runway 28R. Joining me is Captain Rashid, a veteran airline pilot and aviation safety analyst with over 15 years of commercial flight experience. Captain, let's start with what we know. This wasn't a crash, but it certainly wasn't routine either. What exactly happened?
Eric, from available data and preliminary reports, the A320 took off from Pulkovo Airport, climbing initially to about FL-60, that's 6,000 feet. Soon after takeoff, the crew reported problems with the landing gear, possibly a gear unsafe indication, meaning one or more of the landing gear legs didn't lock properly. Rather than continuing toward Baku, the crew followed protocol. They stopped the climb, informed air traffic control, and requested to hold in the vicinity of the airport. During that hold, they performed 2 low passes over the runway. Controllers and ground staff visually checked the landing gear to confirm whether it was fully deployed or not. Unfortunately, the problem persisted.
And that's when they began burning fuel, right?
Exactly. The A320 took off heavy, full of fuel for an international flight. Landing immediately would have risked structural damage or even fire. So, they entered a holding pattern for almost 3 hours, circling above St. Petersburg to burn off excess fuel before attempting a landing.
When they finally came in for landing, reports say the aircraft declared a mayday and ended up overrunning the runway. What does that indicate?
Declaring a mayday means they were now facing an immediate emergency. Likely that the gear indication worsened, or hydraulic systems weren't responding as expected. When they touched down on runway 28R, the aircraft either failed to decelerate properly or veered slightly due to gear asymmetry. The runway overrun safety area did its job. The aircraft came to a stop on the grass, nose slightly off-center, but upright. The good news? All 155 passengers evacuated safely, with no injuries.
So, Captain, let's talk about that technical issue. The A320 is one of the most reliable aircraft in the world. What could have caused such a landing gear malfunction?
There are several possibilities. Landing gear systems are complex. Hydraulic lines, electrical sensors, uplocks, and downlocks all need to work perfectly. A few likely causes: hydraulic fluid leak or contamination, preventing full gear deployment. Sensor malfunction. Gear might have been physically locked, but the cockpit indication read unsafe. Fault in the proximity switches. These are tiny sensors that confirm gear position. Or in rare cases, debris or mechanical interference from a damaged gear door. The crew's decision to stay airborne and troubleshoot was absolutely correct.
It's fascinating how calm professionalism can turn a potential disaster into a successful emergency landing. But for passengers, it must have been terrifying.
Absolutely. Imagine being told you're circling due to a landing issue for 3 hours. But this is where crew training and aircraft design shine. Modern A320s are built to handle such failures. The pilots followed standard operating procedures: burn fuel, troubleshoot, low passes for visual confirmation, and controlled landing with evacuation readiness. This is why aviation remains the safest mode of transport. Every emergency is a lesson that improves the system.
Have we seen similar cases before?
Yes, quite a few, and most ended safely. LOT Polish Airlines Flight 16, 2011. A Boeing 767 landed gear up in Warsaw after total hydraulic failure, no injuries. JetBlue Flight 292, 2005. An A320 landed in Los Angeles with its nose gear twisted sideways. Again, everyone's safe. Air Canada Rouge A320, 2019, had a similar gear indication failure and returned safely. Each of these reinforced the importance of training, composure, and redundant systems.
So what's next for Azerbaijan Airlines and the investigation?
The Russian Interstate Aviation Committee, IAC, will lead the investigation with Airbus and AZAL participating. They'll analyze flight data recorders, FDR, and cockpit voice recorders, CVR, to understand what exactly failed. They'll also inspect the hydraulic system, gear actuators, and sensor circuitry. Meanwhile, the aircraft will remain grounded pending repairs and certification before returning to service.
Before we close, Captain, what's your takeaway from this event?
It's a great reminder that aviation safety is built on preparation, not luck. The crew handled it by the book. They made tough calls under pressure, holding for hours, declaring Mayday at the right time, and ensuring zero casualties. For passengers, it's also reassuring. Even when something goes wrong mid-air, the system is designed to protect you.
Well said. The Azerbaijan Airlines A320 incident at Pulkovo could have made tragic headlines, but instead, it's a story of composure, engineering, and professionalism. We'll keep following the investigation and share updates as they come in. I'm Eric, and this has been another episode of News and Books Aviation Focus. If you enjoyed this breakdown, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more real-world aviation analysis.